Hey guys, this is Brooke Lewis, also known as Ms. Vampy, and you are watching the 13th Wolfman.
Hey, everybody, it's the 13th Wolfman. You know what today is? Today is day 3 of the 31 Days of Horror. And there's a lot of people out there doing it. Check them all out. Ones that I know of are I Am the Ice Lord, the one and only MSJ, Brother Max, Mr. Bones, Retro Horror, Tony Has 9 Fingers. You know, I mean, there's a gamut of people doing this, and they're all doing it interesting. Tony Has 9 Fingers does it alphabetically, and they're all indie films. Mr. Bones is doing all full moon stuff for 31 days, which is really, really cool. I love how these people they come up with their own twist on it. It's like, well, I could just do 31 days. I just do 31 days. But they're like, I want to do something a little different. Last year, Mr. Bones did 31 Stephen King films. Wow. But I'm doing 31 days, just as 31 days, which is 31 movies in 31 days. That's right. It's that simple. Well, we're all doing 31 movies in 31 days. Can't remember. I think it's Retro Horror is doing 100 movies in 31 days. Now that's a challenge. That's 3 movies a day plus. It's like 3.2 movies a day. You know, that's like the average horror film is what, like a hour and a half sometimes, maybe a little bit longer, maybe a little bit shorter. So you're talking about 4 hours of movie time that he has to put aside every day to meet this goal. That's cool. Me, again, 31 movies. 31 days. And we're on to day 3. And day 3 it's Sunday. It's Italian Sunday. That's right. The last few years I've done Sunday films as Italian Sunday, so they're Italian horror films. And this year is no different. So what do we got for you? We've got Ghost House. Directed by Umberto Lenzi. The story is by Umberto Lenzi. Now, Umberto Lenzi came out with a movie way before this came out in 1988, but in like 1973 or 74, he came out with one of my favorite movies. And it's not a horror film, it's more of a thriller, but it's 7 Bloodstained Orchids. Out of everything that I own, I do not own that movie. It's just kind of a pain to get hold of. But I do have Ghost House. There you go. So I'm guessing that when Umberto Lenzi came up with the idea for Ghost House, to me, this movie feels like it was inspired by a few other films, like Poltergeist and Evil Dead. And, it just felt like he just sat there and goes, let's take a little bit, well, he doesn't have a New York accent, so he'd be like, let's take a little bit The House by the Cemetery and Poltergeist, and let's put them into a little thing and find out what we do, And it really feels like the way it was, because the movie is actually filmed at the same house that The House by the Cemetery was filmed at. How cool. I think that's one of the coolest things. House by the Cemetery is one of my favorite Lucio Fulci films, which is, of course, another Italian director. This movie does not have Bob in it. That's the thing. If you've ever seen House by the Cemetery, you will get that reference. If you haven't seen House by the Cemetery, watch it, and you will get that reference. It won't take you long, really. So in this movie, we have a young man and his girlfriend. He's a ham radio operator, which is people dump some serious money into ham radios. But yeah, so he could talk to anyone all around the world. And one night he's listening and he hears this. He hears this voice, and it gives out this message like, "Who are you? What are you saying?" Blah, and he records it, and he's got, it's 1988. He's got a computer, and it just looks like, I don't know. He runs the tape that he had through the computer, and the computer tells him whereabouts the signal came from. They show up at this house, and there's a camper there, and there's a group of people, two brothers, a sister, and one of the brothers' girlfriends. So you have Susan, Tina. I don't remember the guy that is Susan's boyfriend's name, and then you have Jim, and they're the small family basically. And Jim's the voice that he heard over the ham radio. So, like I said, he gets the coordinates. He shows up, and there's this other group there, and he's like, "Oh my God! Well, I want you to listen to this." And so he plays the tape for Jim, and he goes, "Well, that's me." He goes, "But I haven't even." They're at this abandoned house out in the middle of nowhere, and he's like, "Well, yeah, I thought I'd hook up my ham radio." He goes, "But I haven't even put the aerial up yet, so it can't be, And he goes, "But that's definitely my voice, but I haven't said anything." And this house is haunted by this creepy little girl who has a doll. Now, I'm not going to say anything else about the doll, but this movie is fun. It's got a good story to it. When this movie was released in Italy, it was released as La Casa 3. Look, and they do this sometimes over in Europe. They're like, "Hey, guess what? We're going to attach this movie to an already famous movie, and it has nothing to do with it." They're just like, "We're going to get as many people in as we can to see the movie, so we'll call this La Casa 3. La Casa 1 and 2 were Evil Dead 1 and 2 in Italy. So they bill this as La Casa 3 in Italy, and they're like, "Oh my God, let's see what's going on." And it's not really, it doesn't have Bruce Campbell in it. It's got no connection to Evil Dead whatsoever. They're just trying to, like I said, get people in the seats. It's an interesting way to do things. I don't know how ethical it is, but it's an interesting way. They're blatantly lying. Like the year before, in 1987, is the year that Evil Dead 2 came out. So, but yeah, so this is the day 3 horror film, Ghost House. It's got a cool cover on it. The girl looks better on the cover than she does in the movie. She is one. Oh, here we go. Here's one creepy looking girl on the back. Yeah. So, I don't know. I really like this. I thought it was a fun movie. It's there's in fact there's none. I don't think there's any nudity, which is surprising for an Italian film, because they love to show, they love to go the Corman route, show them blood and boobs. And there's not a whole lot of blood in this either. I mean, there's a few things, but not a lot. This really feels like more of a ghost movie than just like, hey, here's a ghost movie wrapped up in a slasher. And it's, like I said, it's a good film. It ends on a weird note, at least for me it did. But that's neither here nor there. I wasn't sure when it ended. I was like, oh, okay. That's how they're going to end the movie. Fine. So tell me what you think. Always a like, subscribe, share, comment. I always want to know what you have to say. Did you like Ghost House? Have you seen Ghost House? And what about The Witchery? This movie is going to be coming up because it's also an Italian film. So you'll see this on one of the Sundays. As always, I am the 13th Wolfman. I am on the prowl. Ow, everybody.